Hi, my name is Jeremy Babner. I'm a settlement and tax lawyer at Lane Powell, and I also chair the legal committee of the Society of Settlement Planners. Thank you again for buying the Trial Lawyer Protection Packet. We hope it serves you well. We thought it would be helpful to talk a bit about the key points on each of the forms we included to educate clients. Today, we'll discuss the form focused on tax treatment. So starting with points 2 and 3 on personal physical injury. You're probably aware that in general, damages received on account of a personal physical injury are tax-free. Of course, there are exceptions, punitive damages, interest, previously deducted medical expenses. Also, looking to estate tax consequences. In general, the tax exemptions and exceptions will still apply in a very similar way. For more detail, you can click on the link to my online bio to see an article from Trust and Estates magazine called Death and Damages, which elaborates on those points. On point number 4 on emotional distress, in general, damages for emotional distress are taxable, but again, there are exceptions. First, damages paid for physical manifestations of emotional distress can be tax-free depending on the circumstances. So for example, a heart attack or exacerbation of a physical illness as a result of verbal harassment have been treated as tax-free in the past. Typically, we're looking for very clearly physical illnesses or ailments, especially focusing on whether they are objectively verifiable rather than subjectively felt by the plaintiff, as opposed to viewed by a doctor. Third, you also have the exception for damages received to compensate for past or future medical care, medical expenses that result from emotional distress. So here, a lot of times we're talking about therapy that results from sexual harassment or other types of non-physical injuries. Moving on to 5 on legal fees. So in general, and the Supreme Court has ruled on this, any amounts received by the attorney or received by the client and paid to the attorney are treated as received by the attorney for tax purposes. So the client will be taxable on the amount received by the attorney in the same way that they would be taxable if received directly. The question then becomes, in a taxable case, can the client deduct those fees? In general, the answer is no. There are exceptions for civil rights cases and employment cases. There are also some structural workarounds and some less conservative positions that your clients can consider taking to offset their taxable income. Speaking of taxable income, point 6, if the client will have substantial employment or investment income in the future, it's very important to be thinking ahead to their ability to deduct medical expenses in the future. So if you do nothing, that really puts them in the worst position possible, because the IRS will presume that the largest amount possible of the settlement was paid in order to care for those medical expenses, which makes those medical expenses non-deductible in the future. There are allocation positions that you can take. That's a good one to make sure to be speaking with a tax professional. On to point 7, kind of the last point we'll talk about today. Using structured settlements and qualified settlement funds can defer the time that your client actually is taxed on the damages that they receive. So there's kind of 2 points here. First, the client can spread out their income to avoid triggering high tax rates in one particular year. Think of the benefit of receiving $1 million over a period of 15 years rather than of 1 year, so they won't get hit by the highest tax rate. And second, the client can use a structured settlement to secure tax-free income, to invest tax-free. Of course, be careful. Using a structured settlement under the wrong circumstances can cause all kinds of problems. For one, it can create the result that the client is fleeced by predatory factoring companies. We hope these notes are helpful in discussing the tax form with your clients. Thank you again, and good luck on your cases.